Beholding a wondrous triumphant sight, a man, donned in the most wretched and battered armor, has emerged victorious from a battlefield. His armor, once polished and gleaming, now appears distorted and crooked, twisted and dented by countless blows dealt by his foes. He is a picture of savagery, his body bearing the marks of innumerable wounds, the remnants of battles waged and won. Gripping his weapon with a vise-like grip, the sword he wields is chipped and worn, its edge dulled by the countless slashes he has dealt. As far as he can see, pools of blood and mountains of bodies are strewn across the battlefield, the grisly remnants of the violence confrontation that has taken place. Yet amidst the carnage, only one man stands, the sole survivor of the conflict that has claimed countless lives. He gazes out upon the scene of destruction, his eyes devoid of any emotion or semblance of humanity. He has a hollow shell, a once great adventurer, who has now lost his soul, his mind no longer his own. Yet despite his vacant consciousness, there is a sense of awe and reverence that surrounds him, as if he has ascended to the realm of the divine. As our valiant warrior stands atop the mountain of corpses, he surveys the gruesome scene before him with a sense of awe and wonder. His very presence exudes an aura of godlike power, a symbol of awesome strength that can be harnessed by one who has dedicated their entire being to the art of warfare. But lo and behold, from the very heavens themselves, a being of unfathomable power descends upon the battlefield. Its sheer size and magnitude are far beyond human comprehension, a being of divine proportions that can only have been crafted by the gods themselves. As it plummets towards the earth, the very sky itself seems to ignite with a searing heat, as if the stars themselves are falling from the heavens. And with a deafening roar, the earth shattered and shakes beneath the weight of the impact, as if the very fabric of reality is being torn asunder. But even amidst this chaos and destruction, our warrior stands firm, his eyes fixed upon the being before him. For he is a hero beyond compare, a titan of the battlefield who has faced countless foes and emerged victorious time and time again. And as the being of divine proportions looms before him, our hero readies himself for the ultimate battle, a struggle of unparalleled ferocity that will test the limits of his strength and skill. But he is ready, for he is a warrior without peer, a being of unyielding courage and unshakable determination. And in that moment he knows that no matter what horrors may come his way, he will stand firm and fight with all the power that he possesses, for he is a hero in the truest sense of the word. But lo and behold, it is no angelic deity that emerges from the smoke wreckage, but rather a colossal demon of unfathomable size, towering over the battlefield like a mountain that is sprung to life. Its very presence fills the air with a palpable sense of dread, as if the very fabric of reality is tearing apart at the seams. Its massive form stretches high into the sky, eclipsing even the mightiest of the hollowed adventurer's previous foes. Its eyes blazed with a terrifying inferno of malice and hate, and its skin seemingly impenetrable, as hard as the very stone that makes up the earth itself. This, my dear friend, is the final and ultimate opponent that the adventurer must face in its harrowing journey. A being of sheer malevolence and terrifying power. To confront such a creature is to dance with death itself, to risk everything in a battle for the very soul of humanity. Yet with a heart of pure courage our hero stands resolute, ready to fight and face this demon and bring an end to the chaos that has engulfed the world. Hey, hey, hey! Oliver, are you there? Oliver's boss said, waving over his face. Startled, Oliver snaps out of his dream and blinks rapidly, trying to focus on his surroundings. He realizes he's been sitting in a meeting with his boss and colleagues, but he can't recall anything that's been said. Embarrassed, he clears his throat and tries to compose himself. Oh, yes. Sorry about that. Oliver stammers, feeling his face flush with embarrassment. I was just lost in thought for a moment there. His boss gives him a stern look, clearly unimpressed with Oliver's lack of attention. Well, we're discussing some important matters here. Oliver, it would be appreciated if you could stay present and engaged, he chides. Feeling even more ashamed, Oliver nods his head in agreement and tries to focus on the discussion at hand. But his mind keeps wandering back to that vivid battlefield scene that had captured his imagination just a moment ago. He can still feel the rush of adrenaline and the thrill of battle, even as he sits in a stuffy conference room surrounded by his colleagues. As the meeting drags on, Oliver can feel his eyes growing heavy once again. He tries to fight it, but he is able to stay awake. After the meeting finally ends, Oliver trudges back to his cubicle, feeling drained and uninspired. He opens up his computer and starts to go through his emails, but everything seems dull and unimportant compared to that epic battle he had been daydreaming about. As the day wears on, Oliver finds himself struggling to focus on even the most basic tasks. He keeps catching himself staring off into space, lost in his own thoughts. His colleagues start to notice his lack of productivity, and he can sense their disapproval. Desperate to snap out of his funk, Oliver takes a walk outside during lunch break. The fresh air and sunshine do him some good. I guess I'll go pick up some lunch, he says to himself as he walks down the street. Oliver walks down the bustling street, taking in the sights and sound of the city. He can hear the hum of traffic, the chattering of pedestrians, and the occasional screech of a car horn. But amidst all the noise and chaos, he feels a sense of calm and clarity. He stops at the street vendor and orders a falafel wrap, feeling his stomach grumble with anticipation as he waits for his food to be prepared. He takes a deep breath and looks around him. He sees people of all ages and backgrounds going about their day, each with their own unique struggles and triumphs. It occurs to Oliver that he's been so caught up in his own world, he's forgotten to appreciate the world around him. He's been so focused on the thrill of imaginary battles, and he's missed out on the beauty of everyday life. With his falafel wrap in hand, Oliver continues his walk, trying to find a sense of newfound appreciation for the world around him. But he struggles to shake off the feeling of restlessness that had been plaguing him for days now. He knows he needs a change, something to break him out of his monotony. As if on cue, a yell was heard amidst the crowd that litters the streets, and a man carrying a duffel bag with money flowing out of it came running down the streets with a gun in hand. Oliver freezes, unsure of what to do in the face of danger. He sees people scrambling in all directions, trying to avoid the man with the gun, his heart pounding in his chest as he realizes he is in serious danger. In a split-second decision, Oliver steps forward, positioning himself between the gunman and the fleeing crowd. He takes a deep breath and tries to remain calm, despite the fears coursing through his veins. The man with the gun stops in his tracks, surprised by Oliver's bold move. For a moment, the two of them lock eyes, each sizing the other up. Oliver can see the desperation and fear in the man's eyes, and he feels a sudden surge of compassion. Without a warning, the man raises his weapon and pulls the trigger. The sound of the gunshot reverberates through the air, causing people to scream and scatter. Oliver feels a searing pain in his chest, and he staggers backwards, his vision blurring, as he falls to the ground. Oliver's mind races with thoughts of regret and missed opportunities. He realizes that he's wasted so much time daydreaming and ignoring the world around him, and he wishes he had lived his life differently. But in his last moments, Oliver feels a sense of peace. He knows that he had made the right decision, even if it cost him his life. And as his eyes close for the final time, he hopes that his sacrifice will inspire others to be brave and selfless in the face of danger. "Hello, my son," Exoldera said with a grin, taking on the form of a friend Oliver had known years ago. "I have some bad news. Heaven is no longer open to humans, and unfortunately, you cannot enter." Oliver was shocked. "What? Then where am I going?" "An angel will catch you up on that later. For now, farewell," Exoldera said, waving goodbye as Oliver was suddenly teleported into a massive group. As Oliver looked around, he saw a group of people confused as they stand in their birthday suits. Feeling embarrassed, he looked away in confusion before noticing so was he, and he tried to cover himself with his hands as well as possible in looking away from the others in the crowd. Turning away, he noticed a massive concrete courtyard where the crowd stood, surrounded by medieval buildings. Off to their side was a massive cave where armored people entered and exited. "Ah, so you are the most recent group," Sariel said, checking a long scroll. "Welcome, everyone. I know you're confused and have a lot of questions, so I will answer them now. Welcome to the nation of Juniper, named after the region's flower, the juniper. As you can see, you are naked, but don't worry. We will create clothes for you now." Sariel snapped her fingers and called out, "Hestus, please come here." A tall, buff man with fiery red hair, a beard, and green eyes came running from the distance, with an entourage of 2 other people, all carrying a sewing setup and a kit. Sariel turned to Hestus and said, "Take their measurements and create clothes for them to live in."